Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to day 9 of the Halloween Faerie Circle 10-day countdown. And again, we will end up being probably 12 videos. Don't know why it worked out that way, but it did. Before we get to the fairy card reading, I would like to show you 2 photos that I took yesterday after inviting the fairies to join us yesterday evening. I didn't really find anything in this first photo that you see on the screen right now, but I did find someone on the second photograph, which is coming up here right now on the screen. If you remember in video 8, I shared with you that these are energetic beings and they can make themselves whatever they wish. They can join in with a part of a plant. They can become part of the chair. Whatever they wish to do, they can do because they're energetic beings. So when I went through this photograph, I was very surprised to see the fairy that I found in this picture. Don't know why I'm surprised. I've found many, but they always just kind of surprise me. So coming up here is a breakdown of the photograph so that you can see the fairy just as I did. Now, if you've been following my videos, you know that I've done a 1-card reading with the fairies, and they gave us the card of truth, the sword of truth, which was the 7 of diamonds. I thought it might be fun to do a full reading, and I use 4 cards for my readings, do a full reading from the fairies with a question of what might we expect on Halloween night. Now, I didn't want to lead or anything like that, so as I'm shuffling these cards, I'm thinking, what might we expect on Halloween night? This is what I'm asking the fairies. What might we expect on Halloween night? This gives them the opportunity to be broad if they choose or not. So I'm going to split the cards now and place this one on top. And the first card of the 4 is the 5 of clubs. The 5 of clubs. We'll place it right there. The second card is the King of Diamonds. And in this deck, it is the 13 of diamonds. The third card is the 9 of spades. 9 of spades. And I'm going to have to move these up a little bit if I'm going to fit all 4 cards on here for you to see. And the fourth card is the Ace of Clubs. Lay that down there with the 4. So those are our 4 cards that will hopefully answer the question posed to the fairies of what might we expect on Halloween night. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with this reading is take a look at these 4 cards together. And don't worry, you'll get a really good look at each and every one of these cards when we get to the individual meanings. But I was getting quite a chuckle out of this set of 4 cards. It goes to show that the fairies really do have a sense of humor, and they're in the spirit of what we're doing with this fairy circle. The reason I say that is because all 4 of these cards have a kind of Halloween theme. And there are 52 cards in this playing card deck, many of them very gorgeous looking cards and with no kind of Halloween theme at all. But these 4 cards have the Halloween theme. So the first card appears as though the guy is fighting with a ghost. It isn't a ghost, it's a cape. But the way that the artist created the illustration, it literally looks like a very pale man, scared to death, fighting with a ghost. The second card is the 13 of diamonds. And what do we have? We have the number 13, which is a number of superstition for many. And if you turn it around, it's the 31st, which is Halloween Day. And then the third card is called the Throne of Spiders. The spider in the center even has a skull as a head. So I don't think you can get any more Halloween than that. And then the fourth card reminds me of the Mothman prophecies. Now I know that's more cryptid, I think, than, shall I say, fairy based, but it's all basically the unseen world, that so many things are possible. So there's the start of the first impressions from these 4 cards. Now we're going to look at the elements of these cards. The first card is a club, and club element, corresponding element, is air. The second card is a diamond, corresponding element of fire. Third card is a spade, corresponding element of earth. And the last card is a club, again, corresponding element of air. So what we have here are 2 air cards, which I tend to put with the plants because plants give off oxygen for us. So there's plenty of air in the fairy circle, which the fairies are acknowledging. Then we have fire, and I have a good number of candles in this fairy circle. And then we have earth, which, yes, there's plants with dirt and that kind of thing, but I think more the earth is probably the crystals that the fairies are talking about here, because they've already covered the plants in the air. But it can be plants and crystals. So I chose crystals here because there's only 1 earth card and there's 2 air cards. Another cool thing to notice is that the air cards, or the clubs, are the top card and the bottom card, and the fire and the earth, or crystals, are in between those. And if you look at the fairy circle setup, the plants are on the left and right. The fire and the crystals are in between them. I find it interesting that they're letting us know what is in this fairy circle, but they're also letting us know what's not in this fairy circle. The only card, the only suit that is missing from these 4 cards is the heart suit. And the heart, the corresponding element, is water. We have no water in this fairy circle. And we might have to remedy that because water is a portal, and perhaps some of the fairies would like to use the water to come through on Halloween night. So I'll have to figure out a place to perhaps put a container of water. The last thing of note with these 4 cards is that if you add up the numbers, the 5, the 13, the 9, and the 1, it comes out to 28, which, if you break it down to 8 plus 2, that's 10. So again, acknowledging we're doing the Halloween Faerie Circle 10-day countdown, even though it ends up being more than that, but we'll let the fairies share in their way. All right, so now we're going to move on to individual cards. Starting with the first card, which is the 5 of clubs. If you look at the imagery on the card, it shows a guy desperately hanging on to this cape, and the card is called the Wind Cape in this deck. He's desperately trying to hang on to that. The reason for that, with a 5 of clubs, you could look at yourself as being the center club, and then all 4 winds on 4 sides of you. So the wind is blowing like crazy all over the place, and it's really hard to stand still in that center spot. The clubs are ideas, thoughts, expectations, that kind of thing. This club is also in the head position of this layout, and these 4 cards would be head, throat, torso, and feet. This is also a black card, which no, does not have a positive or negative connotation. However, I'm looking at it as black is perhaps no, and red is perhaps yes. So in this case, if we look at it as a no, we have a number of things that the fairies are trying to share with this one card, and that is, don't get all up in our head about what might happen on Halloween night. Don't get a ton of expectations. Allowing our mind to take over can actually keep things from happening that could happen if we would just relax and let it happen. The second card is the 13 of Diamonds, or the King of Diamonds, and his name is Leo in this deck. Now, it is a red card, which, if we go with the same theme of black is no, red is yes, at least for these first 2 cards, the diamond is showing the highest number in the deck. So we're looking at, from a earthly standpoint, big money card, right? No, this does not mean that the fairies are going to shower us with money. It just means kind of the old saying of, you can bet big money. So in other words, our question was, what might happen on Halloween night? Well, obviously something's going to, and we can bet big money on that. However, this card also depicts a king who is a mover and a shaker, somebody who steps forward and really makes things happen. And we cannot be that way on Halloween night. We need to be patient and allow things to happen. Because if we do not, as you can see, this king is in profile. And this happens a lot in a deck of cards. There's, I believe, in a regular deck, there's 2 kings that are profile and 2 kings that are facing on. And a lot of times this profile was done because there's a secret side to these individuals, these kings. There's a secret side to them, and that's what the fairies are trying to tell us, is that there is a secret side here. And if we want to be movers and shakers, then we're only going to see what we, I guess, expect to see. And that might be nothing, depending on who you are. And it might be a lot, depending on who you are. But we're usually seeing or being shown exactly what we expect to see. So, bet big money that we will see something, but it's going to depend on whether you have patience and whether or not you believe in that secret side. The third card is the 9 of Spades, or in this deck, the Throne of Spiders. You can liken these spiders to vampires in this particular case. Something, an earthly concern of some kind, is stealing all of your spiritual beliefs, all of your spiritual power, because you're so wound up in what's happening on the earth at this time. So what the fairies are trying to share here is that we're getting all dried up. Our imaginations, our belief in things unknown, things unseen, is getting all dried up because we're so worried about what is happening on the earth at this time. So they are asking that we suspend this, as the spider is suspended in the web. We suspend our earthly concerns, our fears, our anxieties, just for the time that we are working with the Faerie Circle, so that perhaps then something will, or as the previous card said, bet big money that something will happen. We just have to let it happen. This last card is the Ace of Clubs. And again, the clubs are ideas and thoughts, things that you can conceive, beliefs, that kind of thing. So I think this card, this Ace of Clubs, gets to the root. In other words, the card in the foot position gets to the root of the matter. We do have the potential of communicating with the fairies with the Necrophonics app on Halloween night. And it is the power of believing in what is unseen, whether or not it will manifest or not manifest for us. The name on this card is Ethra, and that is actually a magical name for air. Ethra is an energy. It's an intelligence that is present within the air that we breathe, and it is everywhere. It connects all of us together, and it penetrates everything. So we are connected to the fairies through the veil, through the invisible, through unseen areas. We just need to allow our imagination to open up, because that is where everything begins. So that's it for this 4-card reading from the fairies with the question, what might happen on Halloween night? And basically what it comes down to is the fairies are telling us it's very much dependent on us and what we believe, don't believe, what we allow our expectations to be, if we let earthly concerns in our way and don't allow our imagination to come forward. We may not see anything. Nothing may happen. It just depends on who you are and what you want. So I think this was a pretty darn good message from the fairies, and it's really exciting to see that they know what we're doing, which is shown in the fun that they did with these 4 cards together in the Halloween theme, and letting us know that, you know, they know what's in this fairy circle, which includes no water. And again, I will remedy that before the next video. Thank you for joining in this reading, and I hope you will join us on Halloween night as well. Until the next video, take care.